Oh, for every
There
time.
we go.
Is there ever been a time where I've not just muted on the start? Have we ever had like a clean start to a podcast yet?
Why were you muted that time?
I was muted that time, yeah.
Oh,
I'm
okay,
thinking
yeah.
like, can you think of a single time where we have like recorded the podcast where it's actually started well?
I mean, for audio listeners, probably.
Probably, yeah, because we edit it. I just realised I didn't put my soundproofing down. It's like, there's a bit there. There we go. Let's get this up. This is on my camera. Can you see my soundproofing? Is
A
that there?
little bit, just at the bottom. It's fine.
It's like,
Oh,
it's super nice because it's right in the way. It's like really hard. Like I'm trying to like get my.
Can you tell it's warm today when we're both there with like the open necks, like
Yeah, that's the one. Like this is one of those shirts that I have that I never wear anymore because like, oh, it's so thin. And then I looked at it and went, I need that thickness. And I need that shirt that feels just like nothing at all. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. But yeah, how you been, Monfrey? Also,
been
oh
doing
shit, what's the
well.
episode today?
86.
86, man. Look at that. We're flying through these, aren't we? What, 14 more? And we're
Yeah,
at 100?
and maybe we can actually be together at episode 100 to do something a bit weird with it, but
Maybe. We couldn't do that now because I have to self-isolate.
yeah.
Yeah, and I guess we could start with that because
Well, Carl, I want to start with one thing.
okay,
I didn't warn you because I know you like to do like the whole like professionally unprofessional thing, but I
of
wanted
course,
to
yeah.
start with the housekeeping of because this podcast has been like available on other podcast services other than Spotify for a while.
Have you just not announced it yet?
We've announced it, but like the numbers just aren't there at all. And I know people have probably got used to being on Spotify, but when we said it was only on Spotify, we got a ton of people like,
Oh,
how
we got so
dare
many
it not
complaints.
be
Yeah.
on like Apple Music and stuff? And the moment it's on there, no one's using it. So I just want to announce like it is on like Google Podcasts, it is on Apple Podcast, like Apple Music,
Mhm.
it's on like a couple of other ones that I can't remember the names of, but I basically googled like the 5 most popular podcast services, and it's on like the other few as well.
You put it on there, and then no one's listening. It's almost like people don't know what they want.
Yeah, yeah. So I spent like a good couple of days just on and off trying to get approvals for all these different podcast services, get the account set up, etc., etc., and no one's using them. So I just thought I'd mention at the start, like the analytics just aren't there. Like, please use them. It's not costing us extra, but you guys said you wanted it. Like, use those
I
things that you said you wanted.
I distinctly recall getting actual formal letters of complaint, like emails of complaint, I should say, from people who were offended. I never get over the size of that drink.
Yeah, I know,
I,
right? That like
like
2.2 liter bottle.
yeah, offended on a moral level at the idea they had to download a free app to listen to the podcast for free. It's like when we put what, 50 hours of content, like, oh, here's 50 hours of content for free. It's like, but why can't I listen to it on this? It's like, because it costs us money.
And I always find it funny because the biggest argument was like, I hate how Spotify does adverts. It's like, but the
There's no
podcasts
ads.
don't have adverts unless like you put them in to the recording yourself. Like Spotify, the app doesn't monetize podcasts, or at least
No,
it doesn't the time of recording.
as far as I'm aware, it doesn't. But yeah, I guess if you want to listen to the podcast on another format, click away from whatever you listen to now and do there.
But yeah, I just thought I'd mention it because like I keep checking the analytics and like nobody's using it. So I figured, here's probably where we can reach people the easiest because people are actually
On the
listening.
podcast
Yeah,
itself. That'd be a good one though, wouldn't it? Like you announcing via the podcast, like the other ways you can listen to the podcast. That can work.
exactly.
And is it one of those situations where you're looking at the numbers and thinking, I might be one of these listens? Like, there's so few that I could be one of the.
Oh,
I could be
genuinely, yeah. Like
spiking these
it's in
analytics.
like the single figures for the most part on other things where we're getting like
After all the complaints we got,
thousands of listens on Spotify and like dozens of listens on Apple Music, which is considered like multiple times more popular. So I'm like, something's got to be said because it's just not adding up.
it's people maybe that's not aware.
Yeah,
After
exactly.
this
That's
long,
why I wanted to just bring that in a little.
and like even if you mention it in like the just the description of the YouTube version of this podcast, people still aren't going to see that.
And like
No one,
I've tweeted it out and you've retweeted it, but then people can miss that quite easily.
yeah, it happens, doesn't it? And that reminds me a little bit. Like, fuck it, let's not talk about me potentially having COVID. Let's talk about something else because. Did you seem to think Adam has been dealing with this week? Because it's one of those stories where it's just really funny to me.
I know like about the. Is this about like the person who?
Yes.
like, sent him shit a while ago and stuff.
Okay, so let's set the scene as it's been told to me, and the story as it's been told to me is that Adam, who's appeared on the, I don't think he's appeared on the podcast, but he's been on the channel a couple of times. He is the current partner. He's the beau of Nisha, so and he's good friends with everyone behind the scenes.
Mhm.
We all know, and we've all known for many years, and he has his own social media presence, his own YouTube presence. Or he did, but then he stepped away from YouTube and then he came back and now he just does marble races on Twitch.
Yeah, I
That's the
believe
thing he
it's like
decided.
Adam's Marble Races on Twitch, which are like, I think I've said to him like I'll probably try and co-stream and try and get him some more followers on there, and I've like
I've
a
said the
night of
same
Marble
thing.
Races with.
When we're able to meet up in person, I'm happy, sit on one of those because it just sound like a laugh. But and he has similar to both of us. He has a Discord. We're creators.
Yeah.
We've got our Discord, social medias, all these online presences, and in that he has a relatively tight knit community of. I don't know how big the community is, but it's very tight knit. I think he's pretty much personable with every single person on it.
Yeah,
There's
I think
that.
he's got like a small niche following that like he hasn't got a small niche following. There's a small group on there that have like a tight knit community, as you said, and like
Yeah, and
want to meet up and stuff like that and chat
yeah,
online.
Adam's personality is he's very, very personal, more so than I am, to the
Yeah, me
point
too.
where
Yeah,
he has meetups with the people on that. I think he had one a couple of weeks ago. So just as an idea of how much the people on there are a community in every sense of the word.
yeah.
And there was just a dude who was part of these streams. I don't want to name any names, but just set the scene. There's a guy who was in there who was also streaming. He was on that streaming live.
Yeah,
Now,
that graft.
he's true graft, and
Mhm.
he was getting about 2, 3 people per stream. This is this other guy, not Adam, because Adam's
Yeah,
actually doing really well on Twitch at the
yes,
moment.
yeah,
And just he was asking people. Keep in mind as well in this Discord that Adam runs, almost everyone watches everyone else's stuff. It's one of those things oh yeah, if you're online, post in here, we'll watch. He asked Adam for some advice. And Adam's advice basically boiled down to just stream less. Because to set the scene, me and you, we stream 3 times a week, maybe more if there's
I
a special
mean,
event.
3 days a week, but technically 4 times because we do like 2 Wednesday different like streams. We do this, and then a couple of hours later, when I've edited this, we do a
Yeah.
gaming stream afterwards. So 3 nights, 4 times. Yeah.
And generally, we'll aim for about 7 to 11 o'clock start time GMT, because that's the best time we've figured out to get people from the UK and from America, which is our 2 primary audiences.
Yeah.
Um, and we do that, and keep in mind with the Fact Fiend audience of about 700,000, and then my personal reach on Twitter 20,000, then Twitch I think it averages out 100 viewers.
Oh, nice.
Overall, and that's just an example of just as something gets more and more niche and people expect to click more and more links, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller.
Of course.
But even with that, we do 3, 4, maybe 5 at a push if we've got a lot of stuff to do that week.
Yeah.
This guy was streaming about 5 to 6 times a week, in sometimes multiple times per day, including first thing in the morning. When he's getting an average of 2 people watching.
Yeah.
And one.
I was gonna say I'm all for and completely support people, as I say, grafting away on Twitch. It's really hard to actually grow those numbers without having
It is.
as you similar to you have a inbuilt fan base to try and push over, and even then it's difficult.
Yeah, because people just aren't inclined to click on things that take them away from the site they're currently on. But the important thing to note there is that this guy was streaming multiple times per week, and one of the things that, according to Adam, he was lamenting in this Discord is oh, it's really starting to take a toll on my personal life. Just because I'm doing it so much. And Adam's advice was just stream less. Just stream less. Just 1 or 2 times less a week.
And I think
And
he
I
was
believe
saying, I believe, if we're telling this right, he was saying rather than stream as you say, 6 times a week or whatever, doing it in 1 or 2 hours blocks, do say 2 or 3 times, but extend the block so you stream in the same amount of time, but you've got a bit more of a consistent viewer base and you've got a bit more consistency in the times that you're going live and stuff.
Yeah, and if you do it multiple times per day, that's just it's never gonna be fun. And I think one of the things Adam told the guy is yeah, you mentioned your wife on like, in here a few times. Like, maybe spend some more time with your wife. And this guy went fucking ape shit. Like, he flipped the fuck out. Like, he was screaming. I've seen like the DMs that this guy was sending at him, like screaming at him, like, how fucking dare you tell me what to do? And then, like, that alone is pretty funny. Like, this guy's getting really mad. I asked the guy for advice. He gave me advice, but the advice wasn't the advice I wanted, and now I'm mad about it.
Because a lot of the times, I don't know this guy personally, but a lot of the times somebody asks for advice, especially from strangers, all they expect to hear is like, "No, you're doing great. Keep doing what you're doing."
It's the Gordon Ramsay problem, isn't it? Like, we invited Gordon Ramsay to our restaurant because we want him to fix our restaurant. Gordon Ramsay comes in, your food's shit and you're charging too much. Do this, 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 and this. Well, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Who the fuck are you to tell me how to run my business? Like, you asked me to come here. I've got 19 successful restaurants with my name on them. You've got one failing restaurant.
Yeah.
It's that attitude, isn't it? And this guy flipped the fuck out and then started, like I said, which is funny enough in of itself, but what really got to Adam is that he started making fun of Adam's mental health. So, dick move right there, dude. And then he started saying that he's more successful than Adam, and Adam doesn't know what he's talking about.
Mhm.
Keep in mind, this guy's getting 2 viewers per stream, which were from Adam's Discord.
Yeah, yeah.
So he's like bragging about the fact I'm more successful than you when I am leeching off of your reach and audience for my own success, and started dropping stuff like, yeah, I've got people from like Starbucks and Dairy Queen reaching out for like, sponsored streams. And as someone who is like, I'm going to say I've got what, 50 times the audience that guy does. No, they're not. And yeah, that just like, devolved into this whole mess of this guy just absolutely refusing to accept that maybe he was wrong. And it resulted in him getting kicked out of the Discord, which he didn't like. And he was messaging everybody he could. Keep in mind as well, this is Adam's Discord where he knows everyone personally.
Yeah.
Everyone saw this go down in real time on the Discord. And he was messaging people in the Discord like, you need to leave right now because Adam's a prick. Like, have you seen what he's been saying to me? It's like, yeah, we all saw it. Fuck you. You're being a prick.
It really reminds me of the energy of that message I showed you a while ago, like back when we could meet up. Have you seen the way that Karl treats people online? You don't know him. I know him much better. You should like stop talking to him. He's a selfish prick. It's like, A, he's been my friend for 10 years and you've interacted with him once. B, he's also a friend that like has helped me get into a creative field and provide me a job. Like, how is that him being selfish? And it's no response. Like, yeah.
This is why I found it really funny. It's like quite like the similarities between the stuff I've experienced, but I know it's on a smaller scale. I know, no shade on Adam with that. It's just it's got a smaller audience. So it's weird to see that even with that small audience, like this kind of behavior can still be what's the word now? Not tolerated. When you in, there's a word I'm thinking of now. I'm not. Oh God, don't you hate those at the tip of your tongue? This kind of behavior can be fostered. It's the word fostered, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe someone in chat can help me with the word I'm trying to think of here. But I know that that kind of behavior, it can be like, fostered and built despite like, the audience being like very, very small, very niche, and everyone there knowing each other. And as I said, like this guy was just like very mean. And one of the things that Adam revealed to me is that, one of the reasons I suggested he should probably spend more time with his wife is in conversations in the Discord publicly, he's talking about the fact that he's saying out loud in front of his wife, I might leave you for a fan because I've now got such a big following. Other people, like, I might start getting other girls sniffing around. You should be careful. And it's like, maybe you shouldn't do that in front of your wife. Yeah.
I've never heard that part of the story. That's disgraceful.
Like, that's one of the details that Adam just found really, really unsavory of him bragging about the fact that with my new massive audience and my reach, it's only a matter of time till other fans start come sniffing. And he was saying this in front of his wife, and then to try and make his wife feel better about it, forced her to become one of his moderators.
And like, I already had
cultivated. That's it. Cultivated. Someone in the chat.
Cultivated.
That kind of attitude is being cultivated in a much smaller, and you think, a friendlier place.
Yeah, exactly.
Because everyone else knows everyone else. It's not like in a fucking YouTube comment section or something like that, like where there's like vast amounts of people and just complete anonymity. This is a small niche, close knit community of people who all knew each other, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I was gonna say that I have zero respect for that person anyway, but I now have negative respect for that person
Yeah.
finding that out. But yeah, generally speaking, speaking as someone who I'm again doing the Twitch and YouTube game, and I have a
Mhm.
much smaller audience than you, and I've like gained a lot of an audience from that of yours as well, which I much appreciate. But generally speaking, I find that the people who take the effort to go like through Fact Fiend to find me are like fans who actually want to engage positively, and
Yeah.
therefore you kind of find that because you're not just getting mass exposed to like say the front page of YouTube with people who don't know you, it generally you come across negativity a lot less.
Yeah, and that's why this is so fascinating to me. And that was like 3 or 4 months ago,
Hmm.
and Adam thought it was all done and dusted. But then something else happened, which is why I want to talk about it today. And it
Okay.
was that this guy randomly got into a Twitter beef with, I think it's Alana Pierce. I'm
Right,
sure
yeah.
that's a name that you probably know
That
that
is
name
Alana
more than me.
Pierce, yeah, I let follow her.
And you just want to like tell people who she is, because I recognize the name and the face, but not what she
Um,
does, because I don't follow gaming news that much.
so Alana Pierce worked at like IGN and Funhouse and does a lot of her own solo content on YouTube and podcasts and stuff. And now I believe works at the writing team at Sony Santa Monica who do God of War.
She's vastly more successful than anybody involved with this scenario, and
Mhm.
especially more successful than the guy we're talking about,
Yeah.
who again will remain nameless. And it's one of those weird things where I have a couple of people that I don't follow on Twitter, but every couple of days will just go search their name and
Right.
scroll through their posts because they post so much. I don't want to follow them, but they generally like will just have a good recap of news. And like, there's a guy I follow for like gaming news, guy I follow for like filming news, and another guy I follow for like just news in general.
Okay, yeah.
But they post so much that I don't like to follow them properly, because my Twitter feed is just them the entire day. I prefer like just do one big binge of like here's 3 days worth of gaming news and stories, that sort of thing. And while I was like on that his Twitter feed, I saw him retweeting um, Alana Pierce, just calling that guy a piece of shit. I'm like, holy wait, what did he do? How
Oh.
did he go from having a beef with Adam to like now just like starting shit on Twitter with some big famous person? And it turns
Hmm.
out that I think Alana Pierce had tweeted something out like, "Oh, I want to. It's really hard to get an Xbox One Series X. It's really
Right.
difficult. Maybe they should fix that." And this dude read that and thought, "What a entitled," and I don't want to use the word that he probably
Right.
thought when he
Yeah.
saw that, because it's not a nice way to refer to women, and he decided to just absolutely slate her for being entitled. Like, how dare you expect an Xbox? And she's like, I didn't. That's not what I did. And then she just retweeted him, just saying, no, that's not what I did. Fuck you. And then because she has a massive following,
Hmm.
they all started giving that guy guff like, the fuck are you talking about, dude? Like, no, that's not what she said. You're a fucking moron. And then he started arguing with every single one of her followers.
The
And
classic.
this is something I asked Adam, like, did you see this? Oh, yeah, yeah. Because Adam's like me, where he's like fascinated with this kind of thing.
Right.
And
Okay.
he followed this, and like he was responding to every single person who's responding to this thing dunking on him, culminating him saying, I refuse to be silenced. I will respond. I will argue with everyone who wants a piece. And it's like an entire day of that. Can you imagine? Well, this guy's got a wife.
Yeah.
And that's sort of thing. This is why it starts to get darkly fascinating for me. Because then you think into this guy's head of, he sat there in his house on his phone next to his wife, and he's just been there. And I was looking down his like feed when this happened. It's like this has been every 20 minutes for the past like 7 hours. What
Oh,
what 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 is that like in the house that he is in?
yeah. Yeah.
And like, because Adam is like a fucking don. One of the amusing details that he managed to find out is this guy a week earlier had been tweeting at Xbox asking for a free Xbox, because he's a big streamer and he needs an Xbox to show to his audience.
Well, he's got to show Starbucks what
Yeah,
sponsorship material he is by getting free
yeah.
Xboxes. Yeah.
It's like the projection is so real, but that's not like that's one of the reasons that I want to talk about this is because in a conversation with Adam and like my girlfriend about this, I said like this is a really unique opportunity here because we get to see the evolution of that guy. And by that guy, I mean the person who does nothing but hiss at women on Twitter.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because like this is obviously someone who is convinced of their own hype, as evidenced by all the stuff that happened with Adam.
It really
And
seems like it. Yeah.
and he is just he smells his own farts. Like he believes his own hype. He thinks that he is the hottest shit in the world,
Mm-hmm.
but he has no audience because he has, like as mentioned, like 1 or 2 people watching his streams. This is how he turns into one of those guys because he's going to realize because this is the most attention he has ever had online, and he got it by just being an abrasive prick towards someone else.
Yeah, and it's one of those things of I would feel awful if someone had responded in that way, and then seen the bandwagoning as a sign of like maybe I shouldn't have this opinion, maybe I should calm the fuck down. But when you're that like seemingly just twisted and focused on I need views, I need to be something. Any
Any attention, yeah,
attention is
is good
good
attention.
attention. Yeah, in the same way, like any news is bad news. Any attention for that person is probably like, holy shit! Like by being an awful, horrible human being, I got to interact with a load of people on Twitter. They all know who I am now.
Yeah, and that's why I was so fascinated by it. It's like this is the evolution of it. This is the origins. Like you never see the middle ground between that, do you?
You never get to see
And
the origin story occur.
no, you always just see that dickhead online. You think, how did they end up like this? How did you end up just being the kind of person who just goes online and just screams at
Like
people
when
for
does that
absolutely no.
slippery slope occur? Yeah.
And this is it. This is exactly when it happens. And that was like 3 or 4 months ago now, when all that kicked off. And then, as of like 2, 3 days ago, it turns out that that guy has not forgotten about Adam, because when Adam, because Adam now, as mentioned, he's gone to marble streaming. He's doing really well doing that.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
He's doing really, really, really well on Twitch doing that, more so than that other guy, which he's probably not very happy about because when Adam was streaming a couple of days ago, he was getting messages from people in his stream saying, I just got a DM from some dude saying that you're a prick. It's like, what? And it's that guy. He's going into Adam's streams and then messaging people in his streams like, stop watching these streams. So Adam just shared all the DMs again. Oh, look, this is how it went down. He's just salty that he's not.
So that's why Adam brought that back up on Twitter, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I just wanted to talk like, how often do you get to see the origins of something like that? You never see that moment, the
Yeah,
moment that causes them.
what, as you say, probably a couple of months over the past few months, like since this all occurred, of just the clear spiral into all this negative shit posting is garnering more and more attention.
Yeah.
This is what I need to do.
And like that's why I wanted to like just bring it up because it's a really it's interesting to me to see that because that guy, as mentioned, he started off like just a welcome part of that community
Mm-hmm.
who like posted and was very well liked amongst everyone there, and then just one thing set him off, and since then now like and apparently according to Adam, who's like he'd not thought about it for 3 months,
Yeah.
checked his account. Oh, he just argues with people now. Like he just finds people to yell at and then argues with the people who respond to that. Who follow that person.
And I vaguely
And
recognize the name. I think like they used to be part of like my chat in some streams. Like I think
they
that's
did,
where I
yes.
recognize it from. And it's just weird to see this person was like just coming to each of our streams and like being a normal person, and now flash forward half a year later and they're just down this weird rabbit hole of just hatred.
All because they got told stream less and spend more time with your wife.
Very bizarre and just
Yeah.
it's not nice to see.
It's not nice, but it is fascinating.
It is darkly fascinating, yeah.
It's one of those things that I probably shouldn't think about it as much as I do. Because I think about stuff that is like way, 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 way too much. Because like I find all this stuff just really, just genuinely interesting to see.
Mm-hmm.
And to think about as well. Like I've often talked about viewing stuff like that and then putting yourself in that person's shoes and imagining what led to that moment, or imagining what their life is like outside of like the specific sphere that you're witnessing in it. Like imagining that dude sat there for 7 hours straight on his phone while his wife's there.
Yeah, and just like, no, give me a few more minutes. I need to like post a few more arguments. Just please.
It's literally that XKCD comic where it's like, "You coming to bed, honey?" "No, somebody is wrong on the internet." It's literally
Yeah.
that. And yeah, that's just something that I saw breaking down. I thought it'd be not fun, but at the very least, I hope interesting.
A
Because
little.
I'm hoping that my retelling of it is accurate. One, accurate, and two, something people are able to follow. Because just as you said, that downward spiral
Mm,
is so fascinating to me of how gradually it seemed to happen, but now how drastic the difference between the person 6 months ago is to the person now.
yeah.
Where 6 months ago, as you said, like they were in all our streams, it was like, a nice, relatively harmless, just facet of like, our lives
Hmm.
online. And then with Adam, they were part of his community. And then 6 months later, they're just like a raging knobhead.
Yeah.
And all they do is scream and they're bitter about a single interaction they've not gotten over yet.
Crazy how people hold grudges like that, and I'm sure you're
Oh
no
yeah, I
stranger to things
absolutely.
like people grasping onto a single interaction and just going down a rabbit hole of hatred and shit.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to be dealing with that for the rest of my career.
Yeah.
I'll be dealing with it for the rest of my life, most likely, if I remain online
Yes.
in some capacity using the same username and stuff like that. It's going to be something that it's an aspect of content creation that is unavoidable.
Well, I
Once you
see it
accept,
all the time, and like I follow quite a few different creators on Twitter and such, and no matter who it is, and no matter what they're announcing, it's like, oh, I just saw like the completionist was like on G4 TV, and he's like, oh, cool, like I get to work with them now. This is a really cool, happy, exciting announcement. You just see people in the comments, go, I fucking hate that guy. Why? Like, I, I don't know, what they've had an interaction with them or whatnot. Like, I don't follow his community closely or whatever, but just seeing, no matter what creator it is, there's always those people who like that obsessive hatred over them.
yeah, and I can 100% empathize. I know that's a subject we've talked about way too much. That's a horse. Like it's not even beating the dead horse anymore. We're playing like xylophone on its rib cage at this
Yeah.
point.
Hmm.
As like the shark jumps overhead and we're dragging it to a finish line, as part of this labored metaphor that I don't even know where it's going. So, because we can go all the way back, it's like, yeah, I might have COVID. Speaking of Adam, I went to Alton Towers last week with Adam.
Hmm.
Maybe that's not the most sensible thing to have done, but I've been stuck inside for a year. I've had my first vaccine. And like,
Things are
when you
opening up now, and it's expected that people are starting to go outside and do normal activities again.
and I thought after a year of not being able to do anything, people would take having the access to these things again. Seriously. They'd like,
Carl,
treat
oh
it.
Carl.
Yeah, I know, I know. I'm saying it and I can already see your face. Like, I had a little bit of hope for humanity. I don't know. It's that Onion article, isn't it? Of just like man who thought he'd lost all hope, lost extra little bit of hope he didn't even know he had. Only it's my faith in humanity.
Yeah.
Where like, and we were, in the queue to get in and like on the parks, like must wear masks inside, must wear masks, must wear masks. All the stuff on the website as we were booking tickets, wear masks, wear masks, wear masks, adhere to social distancing regulations. Do not be a dick. You'll be ejected from the park. I'm like, good, they're taking it seriously. Get in. Literal first thing we see, a family of 4 people getting out of their car, not wearing masks.
Of course.
Yeah. Walking a foot behind us the entire way to the park. And the first queue we get in, they have chevrons everywhere, 2 meters apart. Perfect. At least we can do this. We're like, move around as your group.
Just
Stand on the chevron.
literally stand where it tells you to stand.
It's the easiest thing in the world. Just stand on these and you'll get to go on the ride.
Hmm.
First queue we get into, stand on the chevron. The group behind us immediately walk up 1 foot behind us the entire way there. Taking their masks off, talking into their phones. It's like, you're not going to get there any faster.
No.
It's the human walking equivalent of people in traffic going, hmm. Well, it's like you're not going to get there any faster. Just fucking sit down and relax.
And even in traffic, if you can argue, like, oh, no, the way I do it gets you there faster, which it doesn't, to
But
clarify.
it,
It
it
almost
feels
never
like it
does.
does. It
But
feels like it does because it's
there,
active.
you are literally, in a number count, regardless of where you stand in that queue, if you're standing 6 foot apart or 6 centimeters apart, you are still in that same block of people that you're always going to be.
Because it's Alton Towers, it's a theme park. You can't even cut in the queue because that's the worry you'd have, isn't it? Because I've had that happen, like queuing in shops. People walk into like the gap because they think, oh, you're sitting, there's a gap. So, no, I'm in the queue, mate. Get behind me. That can't happen because it's just like there's just barriers either side.
Yeah.
If anything, like it's more comfortable because then you get to stand and just
You
have
don't have to
six.
worry about it.
You have a clear 6 foot of space either side to enjoy. And
And
no,
I
because
do find it funny though, because when you mention like queues in theme parks, the one exception that I found is like in Disneyland, where you go into like the experiential section, like the actual building, and then bits start to open up and like
yeah,
widen corridor, and you see the people trying to like sneak around the outside of the queue and like pace past everybody, and the amount of times that we've looked at each other and gone like, let's form the wall and
yeah,
just go from like wall to wall and just be like, no one's getting past us. Like, no,
yeah. So that was, as I said, Lucas, I had
but
faith in humanity, and now it's gone.
it's gone.
And we signed in as you do, using all that, the track and trace system. And we wore masks the entire time, with the exception of like a couple of times where I was just too warm. Like I had to go to like part of the park where there's no one around and just take it off for a few
And I
minutes.
presume you had to like eat and drink there. Well, like,
Yeah. So then we went and again, got the food, waited in the queue, which again, no one fucking social distancing. Go to the waiting area to collect your food. Everyone stood 3 foot. It's like you're not going to get the food any faster by crowding me. Just stand over there. And then got it. And then we get back the next day, notification on my phone, self isolate for 9 days. Yep. Because and the thing is, the moment that happened, me and my girlfriend looked at our phone, we knew exactly what had happened. And what had happened was someone would have woken up, felt sick, and gone, well, I've paid for the tickets now. I'm fucking going.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm socially distancing and self isolating until
And
Saturday.
you're lucky that you actually get to work from home. Like I know Fat Fiend is now being recorded back in the office, but at least you can sit at home, self isolate, and be, somewhat
Safe.
efficient with your work still. Yeah.
Yeah. But one of the things that's like interesting to me is that after a year, after like the news being dominated by COVID, it is the
Mm.
only thing, is the top story every single day and has been
Yeah.
for an entire year. The amount of people who don't know how it works after all this time. Because like when I said I've got to socially isolate for a week, I legit got people asking me, like on Twitch and like, in my personal life, we'll just take a test. And if it comes back negative, you can go. It's like the incubation period for the virus is like a week and a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And like, oh,
It
I
can
didn't know
take
that.
up to 2 weeks for symptoms to show.
Yeah. And then it's another 2 weeks for them, like, to go. And they're like, oh, I didn't know that. So how do you not know that? That's like been the news for a year. How
Mm-hmm.
did it? Also, as well, he's telling me to self isolate for a week. He's telling me to do that for a reason. 'Cause that's after that week is when I take the test
Yeah.
to know whether or not I've got it. But that's that thing of like after a year, I've still got people asking, well, why don't you just take a test and if it's clear? You can go, like, that's how they started this, how it spread. That's why it's so fucking dangerous. It's a week where you feel fine.
That's the entire like reason I said that it spread so easily, because it's one thing to go, oh, there's a global pandemic, I don't feel great, so I'll now stay indoors.
It's
But
like you
you
might have
didn't
it, but you
know
won't.
a week and a half ago that you were already spreading it to everybody you know.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, even people like who I know, I was going set to meet and stuff. It's like, oh, why don't you just take like, a lateral flow test? Like, I will in a week.
Mm-hmm.
Why not take one now? Because it won't make a lick of difference. Because it won't show up on the test yet. And that's just been not fun, but again, an interesting experience. And I won't know. I feel fine right now, if anyone's wondering. I might not, for the people listening to this after the fact. Do you know what? I could be dead. That'd be weird, wouldn't it?
I mean, I don't think it will be by the time this goes out tomorrow.
Yeah, but I could be fucking dead. It could kill me. That's suck ass, wouldn't it? What do you? And then again, I guess like I might as well make a statement now. I went to Alton Towers. It's worth it. That's my last thing. Just worth it. Which is gonna like come back to haunt me. Actually, it won't. 'Cause I'll be dead, won't it? Fuck it. But
But
yeah, I'm
yeah,
trying to be. I'll be careful.
and
But
it's
yeah,
one
that
of
was
those
a.
of, I get there's an element of anything in your life could bloody well kill you. You could, step out onto the street and get hit by a bus or whatever
Yeah.
at any point in your life. So there is an element of you can't let fear rule your life, but at the
At the
same
same
time, when
time,
there's a global pandemic, people are being told to like self isolate. You should listen at that point.
also it's that thing of, oh, I could step out into the middle of the road and get hit by a bus tomorrow. You could, but I'm guessing before you do that, you'll look both ways.
Hmm.
You'll take steps to alleviate the risk, presumably. And the same is true of
Most
like all
people would.
those like, it's like, oh, you could fall down the stairs and break your neck. It's like, but you're probably gonna walk down the stairs carefully, right? You're not gonna run down them with your shoelaces untied or anything like that. Like people would, and if that happened, people would be like, well, it's a tragedy, but maybe you should have been more careful.
Yeah, maybe you should have looked down the street when you got hit by that bus.
Yeah, like people are still going to say it's a tragedy, but like there's always that you could have minimized that risk.
Yeah.
Same thing like COVID, where if like someone died, it is a tragedy. But if like the story of how you got it is like with me, I went to Walton Towers. That's a risk I was willing to take because I assumed other people would be taking it seriously as I was, and that's why I'd be pissed if I get it. Because
Yeah.
I was the one I wore a mask all fucking day, and it'd be some knobhead who don't give a shit who gave it to me.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because that thing is, if everyone just followed the rules and did that, then there would have been no issue.
And it's amazing to me that people still argue against that matter when we have other countries providing an example of that and have been doing for like the last year. Is that no? If you fully lock down, like the country will just fall apart and no one will know what they're doing. Blah blah blah. There's countries like New Zealand that locked down for 2 weeks and got back to it.
Yeah, but you know what? That's like again, that's another horse xylophone that we're playing by the side of the
That is
road.
100%.
And I just thought, like, because this is my first experience with this, like the only other experience with COVID I've had like directly is that my brother got it. And
Right.
I asked him how did it feel, and it was shit. It was shit, Carl. I hope you don't get it.
Yeah.
So that's about the level of sympathy I get from my family. So it was shit. I hope you're all right. Thanks, Dan. That's a good laugh. But yeah, anything happened to you this week though?
Well, not overly exciting things, but like today, I got like a dual monitor arrived, like my second monitor arrived that I bought.
You're on that dual monitor life.
I am going to be currently. I'm on a single monitor live because I haven't got like the like DVI cable yet from my delivery, and I'm getting like a dual monitor arm so that I can like move them about and free up my desk a little bit. So that's exciting news. But that's more just me slowly trying to upgrade my equipment over time and not get I don't want to spend $2,000 at once redoing like a bunch of my setup, but just bits and bobs here and there. But
the real shit though is when you get the 3 monitors.
when you get
that's
like
too much.
when you
That's
see
excessive.
the people where they've got either 5-6 monitors crammed together in one thing, and do you really need all that?
All I think when I see that is that moment in Ready Player One where it's like if we can get this many ads into someone's eyeballs before they have a seizure. It's like how much content do you really need to consume at once?
Unless you are making Avengers Endgame by yourself, you don't need like 18 monitors.
You don't, and I always love as well those pictures of like just like PC Master Race and the Battle Stations one, where it's like, yeah, look at this. It's not much, but it's mine, and it's like the Starship Enterprise in corner of fucking room. It's like, why do you need that? Like,
yeah, I mean, like, again, we've made fun of that, but I did want to mention like one little thing yesterday.
yes,
Just a fun little story. So I had to go out the house, and me and Jenna were out,
yes.
and the puppy
You left the
Cade,
house.
was on its own. As he gets left on his own. We're trying to like make sure we're leaving him on his own in the house and trust him to be downstairs. But there's like a baby gate so that he can't go upstairs and get into like the office and stuff. And he's like a sausage dog, so going up and downstairs all the time is bad for his back over the years. So we're just trying to protect him from that as well. And I came back and I was like,
oh god, you're gonna send me an image on Discord. What did you do?
No, I'm not gonna send you an image on Discord. It was just like, where did that teddy come?
Oh no.
And it was like a teddy that we'd essentially confiscated from him because all he did was tear all the stuffing out of it or hump it to death. So we're like, let's take that one away. And it was upstairs in Jenna's wardrobe.
Oh no.
And I was like, Jenna, like, did you get this out to distract Cade while we were gone or something? It's like, no. So somehow, I think we must have left the baby gate open, but it was shut by the time I got back. So Cade has like adventured upstairs, essentially performed like a prison break for this teddy, and then just got back downstairs. I was like, the fuck did that come from? It's like, I didn't give it to him.
Just torn it apart.
He hadn't torn it apart either. He'd probably just been humping it while I was gone because I got in and instead of barking at the door, he just sheepishly looked around the living room door like,
he knows he's done wrong.
Yeah,
when dogs
the guilty
do that
face, like, oh no, I've been caught.
Never talk about my dog's burger.
Dog's burger. I don't think
Yeah,
so.
my old dog Penny, she had her burger, and it was the only toy that she didn't destroy.
Hmm.
And it was just one of those things where, like, she'd just walk around with this giant plastic burger and that in her mouth the entire, and it always looked hilarious. But we got her that to keep her distracted after she destroyed the pig. Because we got her a squeaky toy when we first got her a bunch of squeaky toy. One was like this big rubber pig, like it's fucking massive. So
Oh my god.
people
Yeah.
like listening at home, like a
Shoulder
foot and
width
a half,
from the looks of it.
a massive big squeaky toy, and she was terrified of it.
Mhm.
Terrified. And we don't know why she was scared of it. It's like, it just made the same noise as every other squeaker, but she just did not like this pig. So what we'd do is we put that on the sofa when we went out because she
Uh,
wouldn't go on the sofa if it was there. And then one day we came in and there was just pink everywhere.
oh,
And she
no.
was on the sofa. And what she'd done is she'd just gone up, dragged it off the sofa by like the heel, and then absolutely torn it the fuck apart. And I can only imagine, like, over the course of several weeks, she just got more and more confident in attacking this pig.
Yeah.
So we just came in, I'm not kidding, it was fucking everywhere. So then we got her the burger, which she also liked. And what we'd do is we'd give her that in the bed, and she wouldn't leave the bed if the
Right.
burger was there. But like when the pig failed, you got to bring the burger in. When the bacon's not working, bring in the beef.
It reminds me because like last week was Cade's birthday, and when he was a puppy, we had like a little pig. There's just like a little stuffed pig with a squeaker in it, and he
Mhm.
absolutely adored it. And it was his favorite little toy for a good few months when he was, first brought into our house. We adopted him, and like he loved that thing. But eventually, he learned how to get inside and like
Oh no.
ripped it apart, and like the fluff was everywhere and stuff. So took it away, and it was only a few quid. So we were like, let's get a couple more. And gradually, as he's gotten older and older, he's figured it out, and it's like, okay, so the next one lasted a day. And then the next one lasted an hour, and we were like, right, we've got one more,
We
but let's not give it to him because there's just no
we've
point.
yeah,
But
it's
for
going
his
to destroy you.
birthday, we got it out and we gave him the next teddy. It was like Teddy 4, like Piggy 4 or
Yeah,
5 or whatever. And he was sprinting around the house, like zooming, just the happiest little puppy for about 5 minutes, and then it was gone.
yeah.
Oh, no, why?
Oh man, have you ever though the squeakers that are inside those things? Have you ever managed to get one out and play with it?
We have to pull a lot of them out because he will dig them out himself, so we have to take them all.
Yeah, so I got the squeaker out of one of my dog's old toys, and I put it in, one of those hot dog balloons? The rocket balloons that fly around the house?
Oh, yeah,
You ever
yeah.
seen those ones, like the really, really long ones where they shoot them off?
Hmm.
I put the squeaker in the end of one of them and then let the hot dog off. It's like, and like the dog was, it did not know what to do. It couldn't handle just this giant rubber hot dog just making the loudest squeak you've ever heard.
Oh, God.
And you've not seen anything so you've seen a dog try and chase one of those bastards.
We did for like Jenna's birthday have some balloons and like showed Cade a balloon for the first time,
Does he like them or does he not?
and he was like, what is this? And immediately went to bite it. And the moment like one popped near him, he's like, nope, nah, I'm okay. That's not okay. That I'm done with this.
Like some dogs love them, some dogs hate them. That's the beauty
I
of
think
it. And you can't
he's
tell.
very inquisitive, so he was wondering what it is, like nosing about a bit. And is this a toy? Is this sort of like testing the waters? It popped. It's like, nope. I know to avoid these things now.
Right? And that's the thing, like, my dog just hated everything. It just attacked everything. Like anything that you could, like if it was on the floor, it was fair game.
Oh, right, okay.
And that's like the one of like you'd come downstairs and your shoelaces are gone. It's like for fuck's sake.
Yeah,
It's one
I've
of them.
lost a
Like,
shoelace, but
it eats
generally
shoelaces.
generally speaking, Kate's learned what his
You know,
toys are, and we've got quite lucky in the sense of we've lost like a couple of shoelaces, a wire or two, and that's been about it.
my brother did lose his pair of Stan Smiths. That is
Oh,
like £55 pair of like Adidas brand new shoes he bought with his first wage.
oh
And the
no.
dog just fucking annihilated them and he was so mad. The dog was like, nah, these are mine now.
Yeah, and
And that was
it is very hard to teach puppies or dogs in general. Just like you're
it
not
is.
meant to eat, especially shoes, something so smelly.
Yeah. Like that smells like you. But Lucas, like, speaking of dogs and the pandemic
Of
and
course.
COVID, there's a story I wanted to mention last week, but we were kind of distracted.
Oh,
I wanted
okay.
to talk about. And are you ready to talk about some? Like, do you want to hear about a story about some dogs and COVID and the lockdown?
Um, those three words are not leading to positive places, but I tell you what, we'll
Especially
go
not when
there
you can,
anyway.
especially not when you can see my face as I say it. So, during lockdown, a lot of people adopted pets. Now, that is a statistic that we don't even need to like explore. Like, everybody knows someone who got a dog during
I
lockdown.
got a
Like, you
dog
got a
during the
dog during
pandemic.
lockdown, yeah.
Yeah.
And you're the perfect example. Like, you got one. Plenty of people have done it, and it was a done thing. Like, people just getting dogs. They're like, fuck it, I'm inside all day. I want a dog.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a dog for companionship. But then people stopped working from home.
Mm.
People still got these dogs. And Lucas, what's the thing about dogs? Like, they always get told over here. I'm not sure what it is in America. Maybe someone in chat can let us know, like, what if it's the same, like, just life lesson you get given. But it's every year around Christmas time, you get told the same thing by charities that look after dogs. And what is it, Lucas?
Dogs aren't just for Christmas.
Yeah, a dog is for life, not for
Yeah.
Christmas. And maybe it's the same in America, where they have like a different motto for it.
Well,
But like, no, it is ingrained in everyone in the UK from pretty much the moment you are able to read and observe things in your surroundings. Like, do not get a fucking dog if you're not intending to look after it for the rest of its life. Like, that is your fucking responsibility. It's a life that
yeah,
you are taking on to care for.
it is, and that is, as you say, something every single like holiday time ingrained in our minds, like through campaigns of dogs are for life, not just for like a Christmas present.
They are not a flight of fancy. It's something you are committed to look after. And I'm guessing you experienced this when you adopted Cade, where you are told, like, you better fucking look after this dog. We're giving it to
Yeah.
you under the proviso, like, on the proviso, you will look after this thing. This is your responsibility now.
Yeah, 100%. And Jenna and I had been looking to get a dog for a couple of years, but we were living in flats and it wasn't allowed. And we moved to a flat where someone below us had a dog. So eventually we just got the courage up to ask for a dog. And it happened to be during the pandemic. That all occurred during that. But, our intention before all this had been to get one. But
Yeah.
the
And
amount of times got dirty looks when it was like, oh, how old are they? It's like, oh, a few months old, 6 months old. You get, oh, lockdown puppy, is it? Yeah.
no, it's my fucking
Like,
dog.
no,
But
I
Lucas,
intended to get a dog. But yeah, plenty of people got a dog during lockdown, not thinking about what the fuck happens after lockdown.
Lucas, it's funny you should mention that because there is a very depressing statistic out there that pounds. Someone mentioned it in chat, in fact, that pounds are now being filled with dogs that people bought during lockdown, or
Hmm.
like no, at the height of COVID, and now don't want. And you know what? That's one story. Like, that's awful. That's annoying. It's frustrating
Yeah.
to hear. But people gonna people. People are gonna be pricks. People are gonna be selfish assholes.
Hmm.
Do you know what is weird though? The idea of someone telling you that they did that. That's the thing, like, because like if like someone adopting a dog and then getting rid of it when it inconveniences them, that's one thing. But wouldn't it be weird if someone told you that they did that?
Maybe if they sent it to a rescue center or they got another like family to adopt it, and they were explaining, look, it was a bit much, I didn't realize, kind of thing.
But for them to just say I didn't want it anymore
Yeah,
and I got rid of it, that would be a weird thing for them to mention in conversation.
it would be.
It'd be an even weirder thing for someone to publicly post on social media, right?
I mean, you would think so. I'm at that point with social media where everything's got to be posted, hasn't it?
Yeah. But would it be even weirder than that to not just post on social media, but to write an article about it for a website, which you then publish under your own name and then share online? Would that be weird?
That not even weird. That's just straight up horrible.
Yeah. And then, Lucas, let's just take it one step further. It's like, it's not that you gave the dog away, it's that you put it down.
Right.
So I have here, this is an article, and I'm going to name the person because fuck them.
Yeah.
And this is because they posted this publicly. This is Madeline Bliss or Byliss at Madeline Byliss on Twitter, and they have it here for Slate.com. I adopted a pandemic dog, then I had to put her down. I learned I'm far from alone. And this is not one of those cases where it's just a really bad headline to entice you to click this article. I read the article. The summation of the story is I adopted a dog with like issues that I was made aware of prior to the facts, could not handle, and then got the dog put down.
Yeah, not even just I got it sent back. Like, I returned the dog. I put it back up for adoption. Just I killed it.
I killed it. And then the article is interviewing other people who did the same thing, and for some inexplicable reason, decided I'm going to use my real name and just announce this to the world online that I adopted an animal and then killed it because I didn't want it anymore because it was too much to handle. And even weirder is on if you go to the original tweet, which I don't recommend doing unless you want to get really annoyed. There's a bunch of people publicly retweeting it, quote tweeting it, saying, "Yeah, I did the same thing." It's like, why would you put this out there? It's like, honestly, it's one thing to do it. You're a horrible person to do it. But I
You're a
don't know
horrible,
how.
horrible person to do it.
But I
Yeah.
don't know how to describe someone who does it and then writes about it, profits from that article, and then proudly shares it online under their own name, as if people are going to agree with them. I don't know how to describe that because that's like an entire extra step of awfulness.
I don't know what to say. Like I fuck those people. Like I really wanted a dog for 6 months to keep me preoccupied so I could murder it afterwards.
And it's like, oh, it was really difficult to look after, but you were aware of that, right? Oh, yeah, but then it was too more difficult than I anticipated.
Like, oh
Okay,
right,
okay.
did you find a suitable family? Did you give it back to the rescue center? No, I just thought it'd be easier to kill it.
Yeah.
That's too much effort to let the rescue center have it back or
It's
to
only a
find
life.
another owner.
It's only a life that I took responsibility for. But yeah,
Yep.
isn't that? I don't know. That's not a fun story, Lucas. But again, it's one of those things where it is darkly fascinating. You know, that's the top. I guess that's like the trend of today's podcast, like darkly fascinating to have a glimpse into the life of somebody
Mm-hmm.
who one thinks that's okay and two just proudly admits it online. 'Cause
Yeah.
I can't imagine like doing that in a conversation with someone. Like if someone said that in a conversation with friends,
Yeah.
you'd think it was weird. You'd be like, "Oh my God, you did what?
Yeah, if one
The
of my
fuck were
friends
you
turned
thinking?"
around to me and was like, "Yeah, I adopted a puppy during lockdown," it's like, okay, good for you. Like, fair enough. And oh yeah, it was a dog. Like, it was a rescue. It had some problems. Oh right, okay. Like, good for
Good
you
for you.
for getting a rescue dog. Like, a lot of people can't handle that. Oh well, I couldn't either. Oh, so you gave it back. You got it like rescued by another family, right? It's like, no, I just killed it.
Yeah, I had it put down. It was too much effort.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like if someone said that to me like in a conversation, I'd be horrified.
Yeah.
But then like the extra step of then doing it and then publicly announcing that you did it, expecting to get sympathy.
And
That's the
apparently,
that's
some people did give them sympathy.
Yeah, and that's the step that like to me is like I cannot comprehend
Yeah.
that person's like way of thinking and looking at the world where they do that and legitimately think they're going to get sympathy for it and then do.
And I just want to point out in chat, someone in my chat says like, um, going back to the thing of like a dog isn't a Christmas present, a dog is for life.
Yeah,
They just said like we're told having a dog is like having a kid, which it is
yeah.
because
It's
you
just
are
like having a kid who's
choosing
more
to
lovable.
know have this responsibility of another life, and to then throw
It's
away
the same
that
with
responsibility and just be like, fuck it, it was too much effort.
it's the same with all pets.
Yeah, yeah.
I say it's the same with like all pets, like even a fucking fish.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're gonna get a fucking fish, you should better look after that fish. You should be like, it's your responsibility to provide for that animal.
Yep.
And I just wanted to bring that up because I didn't have a chance last week, and it's darkly fascinating that there's people out there like that, where like they wrote that article, they sent it to an editor, the editor read it, thought it was fine, and they put it on the
And
website, and then they go and post it on Twitter.
I just
And the
want to
thing is,
say,
that annoys me
Carl,
is, I need to mention this: this is a professional writer. Their fucking tweet is misspelled and has like lowercase I instead of like a capitalized one. It's like the fucking iPhone does that on like by itself.
yeah.
So you had to put effort into spelling that wrong.
But yeah, so right, they not only murdered
That's the thing.
an
Like,
innocent dog. They
that's what I mean.
monetized their murdered innocent
Yeah.
dog.
So that's it, Lucas. Right? Like, do what I like to do, and now just go through the steps that led to this like being posted, because it's like it's really,
Well,
really
yeah,
weird.
they had to sit down and go through what I imagine a person with empathy would say is a difficult decision of putting a dog down,
Yeah.
but God knows about this person. And they had to put the dog down, make that horrible decision, and
You had to
then
go talk to a vet as well. That's the thing as
yeah,
well. Like, what did the vet say?
well, they might, I don't know what this person did. I don't know if this person literally went to a vet or a pound and was like, they might have just gone straight to a pound and went kill the dog.
What's the one, Joe Lucas? Let's. I don't remember the full details, so we can go find the article if you like. Go through
And
it together. Would you like to do that?
yeah, well, I guess so. But not only did they have to go through all that anyway, they then had to sit down, think about it. You know what? This makes a good story. Then they had to write out the entire story.
Yeah.
Then, like, pitch the article, get the article edited, and go, yeah, I'm happy with that article. Let's send that out for money. And let's share that online for everybody to see.
Yeah. No, I'm trying to find it now. You know what? I can just Google the girl's name. Let's just find like I'm sure it's like I'm hoping it's the last article she ever wrote for that website.
Hope
But
so.
you know what? I don't have much faith.
In an
Madeline Byler.
article that's even willing to, in a website that's even willing to post the article in the first place.
Like Slate.com. The thing is, well, when I'm googling it, there's already like a Slate article shitting on people for like giving up their dogs.
Oh,
Oh, the article might actually have been taken down. Let's have a look. It might have been taken down because I've only found a story. Oh, here we go. Oh, they've changed the title.
oh, really?
Yeah, they've changed the title for it because of course they have.
What is the title?
It's now called When Bonnie Came Home because they're trying to like humanize the dog. I'm like, no, I'm not that awful. And I'm wondering how many edits this thing has had.
Yeah.
Like,
And you
since that
know
happened.
that they probably edited it but didn't put in the edit notes of what they've changed. I'd be very surprised if you clicking at the top of the article, it's like, no, we changed the article and we took this line out and we made our writer not seem like a fucking sociopath.
Here we go. So when Bonnie came home, just before Christmas, I adopted a 6-year-old beagle. She was adorable and violent. Well, all beagles are. They're fucking dogs. Like they're hunting dogs.
They're hunting
Like, this
dogs,
is
yeah.
something that should be made aware. You should be made aware of before you do it. I found a resolution. Many choose, but few acknowledge. Yeah, because it makes you a fucking awful, horrendous human being. It's not acknowledged because it's not a decision you should be like rewarded or applauded for. You're a fucking horrendous piece of human like garbage. So last Christmas morning, I patted my bed, inviting my newly adopted beagle, Bonnie, to jump up and cuddle. My boyfriend, still under the covers, reached out to pet her soft little head, which is now wedged between us. I turned away to grab my phone. It happened. A guttural bark, followed by a human scream. I whipped around to see my boyfriend's hand covered in blood. Before I could figure out how to help him, he was out the door on his way to urgent care. It was Bonnie's second bite in the week since I'd adopted her. It's almost like adopted dogs can't be fucking coddled immediately and they have issues that need to be addressed.
Yeah, that
By
is
Lucas.
completely ignoring the dog's needs in every single way. Just
Yeah.
fuck it. A week after I adopted this dog, during lockdown for Christmas, they've double whammied it, Carl. They've got
Yeah.
the lockdown Christmas dog, and gone like, oh yeah, it's a rescue that is probably really vulnerable and had a lot of problems. And it's like, no, just like lie in bed with us immediately and expect nothing to happen.
And then she continues that she got a dog trainer in and got anxiety meds for the dog. Do you know what I think the dog would have been like, most benefited from not being near this person?
A
Which they're
good
writing here
owner.
like, oh, like I had to hide the fact I've been bitten by my dog. It's like you've adopted a dog with issues. Like people understand. Like these dogs need help.
They do. Like
And
that's why you
they
are
need it.
like they are called rescue dogs because you're meant to rescue them from like a shit life.
It's like my old dog was a rescue dog.
Mm-hmm.
Like Penny was a rescue dog. She was very, very skittish, very, very, like aggressive
Mm-hmm.
around children, especially around men. Like she did not like men,
And a
which
lot
is
of
a
dogs have
problem.
that preference of man or
Yeah,
like
and I was
male
like,
or female. Yeah.
I was like, a tall teenager in the middle, but I was very tall, and the dog did not like me. But that took months and months of just careful training to make the dog trust you.
Mm-hmm.
And it says here, like, oh, if, the trainer came back and Bonnie bit her too. With each incident, there was no growling, no toothy snarling. There are no untrainable dogs, I thought, only untrainable people. Months of failing to exhale helped me to decide. I should find Bonnie a new place to live. Maybe city life didn't agree with her reason, and a quiet existence in the suburbs was what she needed. It was tough to picture her soulful eyes staring into the face of a new owner, but I knew that for my safety and the safety of my neighbours, I couldn't continue to manage her behaviour. I was never able to anticipate what would set her off, and there was no way her to control her environments on the streets of New York. I love how she's in this article where she's like, I put my dog down. I couldn't imagine giving her to another loving family who'd take care of her.
And
So
also
I
just
had to make the terrible, like the awful, soul wrenching decision to murder this animal.
oh, I couldn't handle a rescue dog in the middle of the streets on New York City. No, probably because it's a rescue dog in the middle of New York fucking city.
Here we go. I soon learned the shelter where Bonnie came from wouldn't help me. A volunteer explained that Bonnie was too dangerous to adopt out again, and their affiliated sanctuaries, including several Beagle-specific ones, declined to take her. It's almost like you were made aware of this when you adopted this dog.
Hmm.
Like, like when she's writing this, she's trying to make it sound like, oh no, like it's your problem now.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, we gave you the shit dog, it's your problem. It's like, no, because
Aha, we got you. Yeah, we're not
you
taking it
signed on the
back.
dotted line saying I will take responsibility for this. And the moment that it's become like, actually difficult, you try to say no.
Hmm.
Another dog rescue organization in New York City told me her bite history, 7 bites at a time, that specific number would grow, was too extensive for even to qualify for a special rehabilitation program. Both conversations ended on the same topic: behavioral euthanasia.
I just can't get
Um,
over that. Like, oh, a dog's had a shit life and reacted poorly. Well, okay, what do we do? Well, let it have another shit owner. Okay. Well,
yeah.
after that, put it down.
I also love that thing as well. This dog is not like this dog needs to learn how to trust somebody. What will I do? The only person who's willing to take it on, murder it.
Yeah.
So you know what? The dog was right.
Hmm.
The dog's 100% right to be this aggressive and like apprehensive around her because like she like almost immediately went to murder.
Yeah.
And I don't care. She's like, oh no, I was like, oh, I got a trainer in and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, you should have stuck with it. It's almost like it's a fucking life and it takes more than a couple of weeks to sort this out.
Oh yeah, someone in my church just said, like, imagine doing this to an adopted child. Like, oh, this adopted child is really aggressive. Let kill it. It's fine.
It says that she put a post out on like, a site on a private site for rehoming, like explaining like the dog's condition and what it needed. And she's like, oh no, no one accepted. If only she'd have had like access to a wider resource than a private website with like
Mhm.
a couple hundred users at most. I can't think of anywhere a writer for Slate would be able to put a story like that out. Can you, Lucas?
No, nowhere. No.
I can't think of anywhere this author could have, like, made it known that she's got a dangerous dog. Or not a dangerous dog, that's a bad way of
A
putting it.
dog
A
that
dog
needs a
that,
better home.
yeah, I'm not sure where she, like, that's the thing. She could have just wrote an article, like, I've got this dog, I can't look after it. Can someone help me? And that
Yeah.
would have been all, like, people would have fucking taken it. Because that's the first thing she got, like, when this story went viral. It's like, I would have taken it.
Yeah.
I specialize in this kind of thing.
And I just yeah. I mean, there's that. That it would have been simple to write an article and probably someone would have helped them out. But at the same time, it's like we don't even know the actual full extent of the story because this is a highly edited and probably edited after they've posted it as well
Yeah.
article
Lucas.
to make the woman's side of the argument sound sympathetic. I want
Lucas.
to get the dog in on the conversation and find out the dog's side of the story.
Oh man, that'd be great. Lucas, even if I did somehow find someone to take Bonnie, I wondered whether it would exacerbate her already crippling anxieties. As the weeks went by and no new options appeared, I realized I had a choice. I could send her off with a stranger one day, someone she would almost certainly injure, who would perhaps end up euthanizing her anyway, or I could allow her to leave this terrifying world peacefully with someone she loves. Or was there someone else in this story we're not aware of? 'Cause that's the
Doesn't
thing,
seem
Lucas.
like she loves you.
Lucas, I had two choices. I could have taken the chance that would let the dog live, or I can murder it right now.
Yeah, just I again. This is what I mean.
Lucas, there was no other option.
This is a very obviously edited story to the point of like I need to make myself sound sympathetic. Oh, that I had a choice. do I potentially let a stranger get really harmed by this dog, or do I murder the dog myself in cold blood?
It's like, oh, leave the world peacefully with someone that she loves.
Like, well, there's no one in this story that sounds like she loves, because she certainly doesn't love you.
Yeah,
And
behave like Lucas. Behave.
not getting putting down peacefully, just not
Yeah,
putting it down.
no, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
Like Penny, let's put her down.
Mm.
Like she had cancerous growths all over her body, and I remember the day. It was, I think it was me and my brother. That's the thing. I don't really remember it that well because it's like so upsetting. Where we took her for a walk, and she got like 40 foot out the front door and could not move. And like I think it was me or my brother had to run in crying, like she can't move, and then like my stepdad had to come and carry the dog home.
Hmm.
And like she could not get off the sofa, like she could not move. And that's like when we took her to the vet, and the vet's like, there's nothing we can do. And like my mum said, even then, the last thing she was doing is panicking because she's in a strange place she doesn't know. Like, and that's the thing of like when they put it, it's being framed as like, oh no, the dog like peacefully drifts away. It's like, no, the dog panics
Yeah.
because it's somewhere it doesn't know with someone it doesn't know. But yeah, behavioral euthanasia is not a decision made out of convenience. Typically, it enters the conversation once the safety situation with a dog, cat, or other animal deteriorates beyond an acceptable level of risk. Said Christopher Paschel, a veterinary behaviorist with the instinct dog behavior and training. There isn't a universal approach to every situation. Often, if the police are involved, it's up to the pet's owner to decide what level of risk they can live with. So, even in her defense of herself and this decision, she says, like, there's no law that says I have to do this.
There's
It's
no
just,
actual science involved in this. It's just people generally saying your dog might be dangerous. There's nothing we can do.
yeah, it's like, what level of discomfort are you willing to live with?
And clearly, like this person was not willing to live with any discomfort at all.
Well, that's the one you get. It's when you get that legendary Garfield edit someone did, where it's like
Mm.
Garfield saying, I hate Mondays, or like calling John like a piece of shit. And John's like, I can legally have you killed whenever I feel like it.
Yeah.
So, and here we have a quote here from Mr. Paschel. If you're the one who finds yourself in this situation where you're actively considering it, choosing to rehome is hard. Choosing to push forward with treatment you know is unsafe is hard. Choosing to make significant accommodations to make it safe, even though it's not easy, that's hard. Choosing to euthanize is hard. It is, but at the same time, when there's another option, like I said with my dog, like there was literally no, like it was like this dog is like it cannot move.
Yeah.
It is like riddled with cancerous growth. Like there's no more that like science can do to help this dog.
Hmm.
Like if it can't, like they even said, like it can't eat. Like the dog cannot eat, it cannot drink. It will just die of starvation or like thirst before this day is out. And then she's like, oh, and then there's this guy here, he's like, he gives you like six other, like, keep in mind as well. Do you know when she says up here, I had two options? The guy that she's quoting to defend her gives like five different options.
God.
Oh.
But Carl,
So
that might have potentially been putting a stranger at.
it could have been, yeah, a stranger who would accept the risk and would hopefully be like, more of a fucking don than you.
Yeah.
But I desperately wish someone would come and assess my personal level of risk, something only I could do. It was an excruciatingly lonely decision to make, which is why I shared it online. But when I turned things over in my head, I came up with this. In a comfortable and loving home, Bonnie was always on the defense. Maybe it's because, like, the thing is, though, dogs are a lot smarter than people give them credit for. They're very instinctual creatures. I reckon just the dog knew that she was constantly thinking about murdering her.
Like, it doesn't seem as though they were like good owners.
No.
Like, especially when you went through all of this trauma and decided I could write this up.
Yeah. But that's the thing that gets me, though. It's like, where it's like, oh, the dog feel like, the dog's in a safe and loving home. It's like, but you were actively talking about killing it for about 3 months.
Clearly, the dog didn't feel safe.
Like that's the kind of thing where the dog can know. Like if
Mm.
dogs can smell cancer and tell me we're gonna have a heart attack, they can tell when you're planning to kill them. Lucas, though, you need to feel bad though, 'cause on the phone, I wept quietly as I made Bonnie's appointment.
Cool.
Bonnie's last day came sooner than expected. Yeah, imagine what it felt like being the dog. On a quiet Sunday morning while I pet her on the floor, she inexplicably snapped at my face, though her mouth clamped down harder on my boyfriend's forearm instead of my cheek. When he jumped up, she held on, piercing wounds in his arm and a hole in his sweatshirt. Fucking yes, leave him. Leave them with some wounds. Remember me. That's the thing. If I'm going down, I'm going down swinging. I'm
That's
gonna
like,
make
oh,
sure.
you've booked my murdering. You've like booked my appointment for my murdering. Okay, cool. Well, let's
Yeah.
get some fucking damage in.
No. Let's see how people are gonna love you with a messed up face. I'm gonna mess your face up so bad that no, everyone's gonna be like, "Why'd your face get messed up so bad, though?"
Like, well, I called up the vet, told them to murder my dog, and it somehow didn't like that decision.
Lucas, I was so stricken with fear from a beagle, a 4 pound beagle.
I mean,
I
don't get
knew
me wrong, fully grown beagles,
they could,
they could do some damage,
but at
but
the same time, it's like I'm fearful. It's like as well. Every single one of these times where the dog attacks her, she says, "I went out to touch the dog and it didn't like it." At any point, did you realize maybe the dog doesn't like being fucking touched?
yeah.
I've been like making a mental note.
Hmm.
Every single time they talk about the dog biting someone, it's because they touched it.
The dog bit
Eh,
this person, and then they bit another person, and the same thing happened. I wonder if there's like something in common in this scenario that we should avoid.
Like literally every single one of the occasions where the dog snapped is like I reached out to pet the dog and then it didn't like it.
Hmm.
It's like those stories you hear, isn't it? Like like people have wild animals as pets,
Oh right, yeah.
and they have I don't know, like a tiger or a lion, and the lion turns on them, and they have all these videos of like petting the lion like a pet. And like, oh, it's so calm, it's so calm. And then one day the lion snapped. It's like maybe it's because it's a fucking lion.
Hmm.
And you're like, you're reaching out to it. It's like with horses. You ever seen the thing with horses where they will instinctually kick at anything out of their peripheral?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And one of the ways, the only way to avoid that is when you walk around the back of a horse. It's a pro tip if you live near a horse or you plan on going near a horse. Do not walk behind a horse
Hmm.
ever, or a donkey or a mule. Do not do it. It will kick you and likely kill you because their kicks can like dislocate your jaw
Yeah.
or snap your neck. You put your hand on the horse and keep it on the horse as you go behind it, so it knows that you're there.
So it knows that, oh, this person that's in contact with me is the thing that's behind me, because
Yeah, and
rightly so, as a you know just instinct in life, something that it's just got within its like evolutionary chain is just like,
yeah, it's
look,
how it
if
survives.
something comes up behind you, that means it's something you kick, just kick back to try and stop it. Like you see on documentaries, same with like zebras, for example, and a lot of the
Yeah. They just kick
these
out at
different
anything
kind of
that's like.
animals is just kick back because that will protect you from getting hurt.
It's also as well. I bring that up because I can't think of an animal that is more domesticated than the horse. Like, it is
There's,
literally an animal we have domesticated to use as a beast of burden.
mhm.
Like we use it as it's literally a tool that we use, and even then, it still has the capability to fucking kill you.
And that's the thing is, I don't know much about horses.
But we use them as tools. They're used to
But
like,
no, yeah,
draw
but I was gonna say,
carriages.
I still know that like approaching a horse from behind is just a fucking stupid thing to do.
Yeah, and it's the same thing like dogs. Like, yes, they're domesticated, but they are still animals, and there
Hmm.
is that spark of wolf in them, as you can no doubt attest to, like seeing Cade sometimes when he gets on a toy, you see that like that
Oh yeah.
spark of feralness in him.
Well, even then, like Kate's super friendly with dogs. Always wants to play with them, but there's been a couple of times with like a lot much bigger dogs where they've been playing. The dog gets on top of Kate, and all of a sudden he feels trapped, and like you see that spark in him of like, I need to get this fucking thing off me. And it's not that he gets super aggressive. It's just like you can see like the growls and the teeth come out of like, get get off me. Like I'm not comfortable anymore. And that's all it takes is like for this dog to just not feel comfortable.
Yeah. And it says here that when she went to put the dog down due to COVID protocols, you can't be in the room with it, but she insisted. So in addition to like killing this dog, she also insisted on breaking COVID protocols, putting the doctor at risk, also the
Hmm.
veterinarian at risk, through her own selfishness because she wanted to feel like assuaged of guilt as she murdered the animal she agreed to take care of. And it says here, Lucy, you read it. In the days after Bonnie was put down, I roamed my newly empty home like a zombie. I didn't sleep much. When I did, I started awake by nightmares of being bitten, crushed with guilt. I wondered if there was more that could be done to help with my sweet beagle. Yeah, not kill it. I didn't tell most people what had happened. What if they thought I was a monster for not trying hard enough?
I mean, I do. But
Yeah. Instead, I made a post on Instagram so I wouldn't have to talk to the people who've been gushing over Bonnie. Rather than detail her situation, I explained she had an illness that went undiagnosed before I adopted her, and I had to say goodbye.
oh, so you straight up lied about why you killed the dog?
Yeah, it's
Cool.
almost like there's a stigma attached to fucking murdering
hmm
dogs. It's almost like people like dogs.
So that means that she definitely knows what she did was wrong,
Was wrong, and that
but
there
then
is a stigma
decided to
attached to
post
it.
about it and detail it online anyway.
And that's the thing that gets me. It's like there's nothing I could do. It's like you literally had access to this audience.
hmm
You could have made a post of like if she just posted this and got and before the bit where she says I made the decision to euthanize my dog, just said, but if there's somebody out there, I'm at my wit's end. If you can look after this dog, I will drive it to you. I will make every effort possible. I want this dog to have a good life, but I am unable to provide that. That'd be fine.
Maybe she'd have wrote that if she cared.
Yeah.
But, oh no, I had 0 options. Well, here's a list of options you had. Oh no, but I had no safety at all. I felt unsafe in my own home. It's okay. Well, did you think to ask somebody who feels more safe with this dog to look after it? Well, no, because that's putting them at risk. I just had to murder it.
Yeah. But when you adopted the dog, you knew there was a risk, right? Because it's a rescue dog. Like, that's one of the things they tell you when you adopt a rescue dog. It's like, its behavior, even though it looks placid, like you need to be careful around the dog because you don't know. And like I said, when we adopted our dog,
Yeah.
it was very skittish for the first couple of months we had it. It was like, it was only once it learned to trust the home that it was in.
And generally
And
speaking, any experience that I've seen with rescue dogs, because before we got Cade, we tried going down the rescue avenue, but we didn't have like, as I said, we were living in a flat. We didn't have what they deemed like a suitable place for a rescue dog to be, so we ended up having to get Cade. And yeah, my experience is look, this is the exact needs and wants of the dog, and this is the history of the dog.
yeah,
Here's what what level of experience you'll need. Here's whether it likes other dogs, whether it likes cats, what it can and can't be around. Like sometimes it was just straight up, look, this is probably gonna have to be for like a single woman because it hates men and it hates kids and stuff like that, and it's just had a bad experience. And yeah, generally speaking, these rescue centers will detail everything you need to know before you adopt the dog.
yeah. And this is one of those things where, like, if she'd have just been some random person on the street, I can understand. But when you've got access to an audience like this,
hmm
you could so easily just make this post and just say, "Look, I've got a fucking dog." Like you've got, like, at the very least, make that the last step.
Yeah,
Make that the last thing that
I
you
have
try. We
no
have
other option before I have to like behaviorally euthanize this dog.
just do the Android 16. Like I have no other option, and just or
Yeah.
just self detonate on the dog.
Well, I mean, at least then, she would have self detonated.
Like if you're gonna do that, like at the very least, like because she just says like I took the dog to the fucking vet and killed it. If you're gonna do that, give it like 50 hamburgers.
That's true.
Like just go to McDonald's and buy like 5 Big Macs and just
It's
put them
gonna
on the
die
fork.
anyway. Give it the best goddamn day of its life.
Yeah, like cook it a fucking steak.
hmm
So, oh no, that would have been expensive and time consuming. It's fucking die. It's like even death row inmates get a last meal.
That's true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fucking give
whatever they
that to you.
want.
Yeah, within reason.
Yeah.
Give it to your
No,
dog. Enjoy what he wants to do. He wants to fucking tear your boyfriend's eyeballs out. Fucking let it go. Just put man and like dog in the arena, like do. But it says here that she later found a Facebook group for people who had to make the difficult decision to euthanize their dog for behavioral reasons. And Lucas, you are going to fucking love this quote. That's at the banner image for the Facebook group. If love was enough, you'd still be here.
no,
Oh.
no.
So they're basically blaming the dog. It's your fault. It's your fault that you didn't respond to me trying.
That's just well, I loved you, but this is all your fucking fault.
Yeah, you're blaming it on the dog, an animal that has like no higher brain function,
A
and
dog
you're
that
a
also
human
is
being.
dead and can't defend itself.
Let the dog like this is what I want. Like Judge Judy to come in.
hmm
I want like Joe. Though you have those mediums as spiritualists who say they can talk to like the dead.
Get Bonnie
Then
in.
you
Let Bonnie tell her side of the
yeah, that's what I
story.
mean. Joe, you can get them. Get one of them, and then get those people who say they can talk to dogs.
hmm
And get those to team up and bring the dog's ghost in and hear its side. I want that. I want that shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, Lucas, you get on TV and there's a dog trainer who can fix any problem in 23 minutes with commercial breaks. So we have this idea that everything can be fixed. And I thought that too when I started off as shelters, when I started off as a trainer. But eventually I realised that I'm just not good enough. So fuck it, murder a dog.
Yeah. Eventually I realised effort would be needed.
Are you ready though, Lucas? Like the website, like the group's called like Lulu's, or something like that. I think the Lulus are the most loved pets of all. Trying is hard, but I think to stop trying is much harder. It's Lucas, did you know giving up is way harder than trying? Like they're basically saying here, like, you know what the real hard part is? Giving up and stop trying.
How do
like,
we even argue with that person?
like, you can't argue with someone who's like, look, giving up's the hardest thing. It's like, no, it's
Literally
literally
not.
because you just admit I don't want to try anymore.
Fucking bellends.
I wish the people listening to this after I could see Lucas's face. He's getting so mad.
And I'm really sorry for like everybody who stuck around. Like someone in my chat just said,
Oh yeah,
this
this is
is
the thing. Like, that's the
like
one.
solidifying my hatred for humanity, and I'm really
But-
sorry.
But Lucas, it's darkly fascinating, isn't it? To have a view into like that's the thing. How often do you get a chance to view in like have a glimpse into the psyche of somebody like this?
Oh, I know, yeah.
Because that's the thing. Like I said, this is something that people do. Like it's obviously something that people do, but they don't talk about it. They don't proudly admit to it and then invite public comment on a forum.
Well, I just got a message from Jenna, my girlfriend, who's downstairs. Just say, "Is everything okay?" It's like, no, it's not. It's everything isn't okay. Dogs are getting murdered, Jenna.
Sometime after I said goodbye, I took a trip to my parents' house. After months of pandemic separation, I was reunited with my family and our dog Lady, a goofy 10-year-old beagle. When I stepped through the front door, the click, click, click of her nails on the tile floor sent me into a panic. She's trying, well, she's got PTSD from a fucking beagle.
From murdering a dog. Right.
Unaware of my newfound fear, she lazily plopped down by my side, her face much greyer and much rounder than Bonnie's. I marvelled at how gentle she was. My heart rate slowed and something clicked. Lady was a healthy dog. Clearly, Bonnie was not. I could not possibly picture her acting so carefree. I miss Bonnie dearly and desperately wish I could have watched her dart around my parents' yard. With a solace in knowing that she isn't afraid anymore. So, Lucas, thoughts?
I really hoped, she lived her life in absolute fear of every dog ever in the world. And I wish she did get PTSD.
It's
The
just
dog didn't even get a chance to get PTSD.
Like, it's that thing as well, isn't it? Like it's the fact that they so proudly post it on. That's what's the fascinating aspect and the thing that I'm so curious about. And why it's like
not only did you go through all this process, but you decided to defend yourself online about it.
And then found a way to justify it to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And like while like that's the thing that gets you, like there was no other option as you like I couldn't find anyone who was willing to take the dog as you post to an audience of several 100,000. It's like I couldn't find anyone willing to take this dog. Like, have you ever watched those shows? Like they do on the BBC all the time. I think it's Paul Grady does it, the comedian and presenter, where he's like he's a patron of a lot of dog charities. So he has a show every couple of months, I think, and where it's just like, oh, here's just Paul O'Grady's charity dog drive, where it's just like, here are some dogs that have been in adoption centers for a really long time. And they go through all of their problems. And they say the household that adopts this dog will need to have this, 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 and this. If you fit that criteria, call this number. And every time that happens, all of those dogs get adopted by families who they see it tugs their heartstrings. They realize we fit that criteria, we can adopt this dog.
Yeah.
And I imagine if Paul O'Grady went on TV and look, we're here. Here's just the collars of all the dogs that we put down because we couldn't be asked to find someone to look after them.
Look,
and here's the people who feel really bad about doing it.
Last week, a couple of these dogs didn't get adopted, so rather than try again, we just got them put down. Sorry.
Yeah, we're really sorry. And it's like imagine him sat there on national TV going, "We literally could not think of anything else to do." Like we tried, we put a Facebook post out. We went online to a forum of 80 people. No one responded. We can't think of a way. We could have tried harder to get the message out there to people about the adoption of this dog. Anyway, So
And now,
Lucas, yeah.
Carl, let's
Yeah.
because like obviously you know that it was something we were meant to talk about from my side
There
last
was,
week.
yeah.
So let's
There
just
was.
quickly round out with like something a bit more positive, shall we?
Okay.
Um, so this is
I
like
think it goes
something.
without saying, fuck that person.
Fuck that person indeed, and
Fuck
fuck
that,
like
like,
everybody on that Facebook group that have done it as well.
yeah.
But so Carl, this is something that again was trending last week on Twitter. So we're behind the news.
We are,
Last week
yes.
we got sidetracked by something else. So
Oh, man.
we can still
There is a
talk about it
follow-up
this
to that
week.
as well. There's a follow-up to that, which was like probably the biggest asshole blowout I've seen in a while. But I guess we can end on that, I suppose. Go on, what are we talking about?
So this is just something about Batman,
Selfish love of Batman. There are no
selfish
good
love of
billionaires.
Batman.
Actually, you know what? I need to go to the bathroom real quick. So do you want to just wait 1 second? And for people in the chat live now, we're going to talk about Batman going down on people. Don't worry. We'll get the taste of all them dead dogs out your mouth, but I need to go for
We
a bathroom
will.
break. So I'll be back in 1 second. I'll leave my screen on this so people can just see me come sit back down. But I'll mute my mic.
Okay.
Right. So apologies about that, Lucas. And the chat at home, I suppose.
Yeah.
Anyone's now went to the bathroom so quick, my toilet's there.
There we go. I clicked on the wrong part, the wrong
You did,
layout
okay. Perfect. All right, so Lucas, let's wash the taste of those dead dogs out of the mouth. What are we
with
talking
the
about now?
taste something better in our mouth, I suppose.
Yeah, we're going from dogs to pussy. That's the joke someone's gonna make. From dogs to pussy. So I made it for them so they don't have to
There
feel
we go.
embarrassed about doing
Carl
it.
made
Yeah.
it first.
Yeah, I made the segue that everyone wants me to make, but was too embarrassed to say.
So this is just an interview about like the Harley Quinn TV show by like
I'm so
the
excited to talk about it.
the creators of the Harley Quinn like animated TV show of
Mhm.
working with villains. And this is like, a bit of a
Well, yeah, it's a
longer
show about
clip.
Harley Quinn.
Yeah, it's a
You're
show
gonna
about
have to
Harley
love
Quinn,
that.
but I'll just go through and we can like break it down.
Yeah.
So it says Harley Quinn is almost also unique among the current crop of comic content in that its main character and all of her closest allies are villains rather than heroes in the DC canon. That
Mhm.
allows the show to do different things with the characters that heroes simply cannot do, at least according to DC. And the quote is, "It's incredibly gratifying and free to be using characters that are considered villains because you just have so much leeway," says
Yeah.
Halpern, the writers on the show.
You can just you can just get away with anything, can't you?
Exactly. A perfect example of that is in the third season of Harley, when we had a moment where Batman was going down on Catwoman, and DC was like, "Can't do that. Absolutely cannot do that." They're like, "Heroes don't do that." So we said, "Are you saying that heroes are just selfish lovers?" They were like, "No, it's that we sell consumer toys for heroes. Hard to sell a toy if Batman is also going down on someone."
That makes me love him more.
It does, yeah.
And
Like
that makes him way fucking cooler.
that makes him way more endearing. Cause I'm like, Batman is a very generous lover, and fair play to everyone. And they go on to say that they really enjoy their time working on Harley, etc., etc. But that was just a moment that stood out to them of, wow, we get so much more freedom with the villains than the heroes, don't
As
we?
well, that's so funny to me because those stories and those comic books and even like the films and the toys and the animated shows,
Hmm.
they make so much money
Oh yeah.
off capitalizing off the sexuality and inherent, sexiness of the female characters,
Hmm.
which they draw for the male gaze. We could there's no qualms about it. They are drawn to titillate men. Like Wonder
Yeah.
Woman is walking around in a fucking leotard with her tits out half the time. Like Catwoman's outfit, like they are all like Power Girl. Look at fucking Power Girl.
Yeah.
Like they are characters that exist almost entirely for the titillation of men. The moment they try and write a character owning that sexuality, or just being sexual
Hmm.
in a way that is not directly beneficial to a man, suddenly it's like they're not allowed.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Of like, there's plenty of times where Catwoman is seen seducing Batman. There's
Yeah,
plenty of times where Batman and Catwoman kiss, etc., etc. But the moment it's seen as like, whoa, Batman is performing a sexual act, that's not okay.
you're not allowed to do that. Batman's allowed to stand there as Catwoman just gyrates all over his bat penis.
Hmm.
That's allowed. Like Catwoman, the character, is allowed to be drawn in like the most, and I'm gonna say like embarrassing. Like it's embarrassing for the medium, the way like some female characters are handled, like comic books and stuff, and it's related media. But Batman can't, you know, do that. It's very telling of the
Mm.
mindset of the people working behind the scenes.
It really is, and again, I'd be interested to see. Someone mentions like Batgirl in my comments, and I mean, I would be interested to see if this was like Batgirl going down on a like male or female villain, whether like it was appropriate for Batgirl to do it.
And they would, yeah, because that's sexy.
Mm.
Again, for the male gaze.
And it's like very, very weird.
Yeah,
That
it's a conversation is what I would love to be in a fly on the wall for. I would
yeah,
have
and I
loved to
love
have
the
seen like
approach they took of we
like
responded, well, is Batman a selfish lover?
they're like, no,
Well,
Batman's the best at sex. It's like, well, okay, then why
yeah,
like prove it?
but he's clearly not the best at sex because he's not allowed to go down on anyone.
It's also as well, why would that like not make him heroic? I'm
Yeah,
sure there are many women out there that would say that's the most heroic thing he's ever done.
exactly.
Oh no, Batman's not like that. Like, keep in mind, one of the best portrayals of Batman shows him buying an entire restaurant as a flex on his ex-girlfriend's current boyfriend.
Mhm.
And then his cover story is him frolicking in like on a yacht with the entire female basketball team or something. Is it the no, it's the ballet squad.
The ballet, yeah,
He
the
takes the
Russian
entire
ballet.
Russian ballet on a yacht,
But
and
yeah,
they're
like
happy to like those stories are awesome. But like, okay, sure,
the difference between like again, just referring to chatty, just like the difference between unrealistic female bodies and realistic male bodies. Yes, they both.
oh god, are they making that fucking
Yeah,
argument?
the
God, go read a
difference is
fucking book, you
that like
moron.
Batman and Superman may be like the pinnacle of just male buffness and whatnot,
That's
but
also a
all
male fantasy.
yeah, that is a male fantasy, and they are not sexualized for it.
No,
Like there are very few times when they are sexualized for it, and normally it's if they are, it's because it's somebody like Poison Ivy or Catwoman being a very sexual character inherently, pointing out, "Oh, Bruce, you're so sexy."
yeah, like nobody comments on the fact that Batman has his abs out all the time. It's
Hmm.
because he's badass.
Yeah,
Like it's to compare the two is disingenuous and showcases like a complete lack of media literacy. It's like that image you always see of like, oh yeah, here's Barbie. She's like criticized for giving girls an unrealistic expectation and like of the body type they should have. This is He-Man. It's a giant fucking swollen He-Man doll.
hmm,
It's like one, the He-Man doll like is so cartoonishly um uh, like out of proportion where it couldn't be understood to be at all realistic, whereas Barbie was specifically framed as having realistic proportions
yeah. Even
to the
though
point
she
where
is
they,
like beyond supermodel esque
yeah,
looking.
like Barbie is pitched as like an attainable lifestyle for little girls. Like little girls are supposed to want to like live that lifestyle of Barbie and empathize and then dress her up, and then they dress up like Barbie themselves. They even had a famously like panned Barbie doll that had it's like losing weight Barbie or something like that, and it had a scale permanently set to £100, and in a book titled How to Lose Weight simply said don't eat, and this was sold to little girls. Yeah, and then you have like stuff like He-Man. That's like it's a power fantasy for little boys.
And
Like they're
also,
not.
it's literally a superpowered being.
Yeah, you are not expected to like have a body type like He-Man's. Like that is not shown as being attainable or something you strive towards. It is shown as being like the ultimate power factor. And both of them, when you translate to like media aimed at like older people,
Hmm.
like both of them are framed for the male gaze.
Yeah,
Because something we've talked about before is whenever you have those weird men saying, "Well, what about all these like huge buff dudes in like comic books and stuff like that?" Like women, for the most part, I'm not gonna say all women, but like women for the most part generally don't like that body type.
yeah, yeah.
Like some do, but
Some
for the
do.
most
Yeah,
part, it is almost universal, almost universally the case that women prefer more slender men with androgynous features.
hmm.
And if you want proof of that, go look at any tweet by BTS. Like, look at who women fawn over
Hmm.
in terms of like looks. Like, it's going to be um, more slender, androgynous looking men.
For the most part. And again,
Yeah,
there's exceptions to that, but
there are, yeah, but and it's like the story that encapsulates that is Raiden from
mm,
Metal Gear Solid 2, where the developers specifically put Raiden in the game to appeal to women because they found out women weren't playing Metal Gear Solid and were curious why. And then they got women in, asked them to play the game, and asked them, "Oh, so what do you think of like Solid Snake? I don't like him." And they were like, "What do you mean you don't like him? He's so badass. Like, but he's old and gruff and he smokes. I don't like that."
yeah.
And then they went, "Oh, well, what would you like?" I went, someone who looks like, a pop star. So they made Raiden, thin or thinner, more
Thinner,
androgynous.
yeah.
Yeah. No,
And
still in shape, but he's like, more athletic. He's more athletic than bodybuilder type. Like, he's less gruff, more clean shaven. And like, women fucking love that character. Like, look at
well,
all characters like Link.
yeah, Link is a good example. And I was about to say that even when it comes to not even like not even just sticking to humans in fiction, like just video game characters in general, I
Yeah.
see a lot more women fawn after the likes of Garrus and Thane in Mass Effect than like Rex or Grunt or James.
Or
Like James,
even
even a human, the buff human dude.
yeah. We
And
talked about in a video, didn't we? Like, Thane was specifically designed to appeal to women
yeah,
because they asked women, "What do you like?" And this is a funny story. It's true. Like, Thane, the character from Mass Effect 2, was specifically developed and put into the game in response to women complaining about the fact there was nobody to romance that they
mm,
liked in Mass Effect 1. And the men working on the game were like, "What do you mean? You've got Liara," and they went, "Well, what, a curvaceous blue alien?
hmm,
That's clearly aimed at the male gaze." And, "Oh, but what about Caden?" It's like, "What, some fucking the milk toast ball
yeah,
glass of tepid tap water?"
the guy with very little personality.
Yeah, and they went to the drawing room. They asked women, "What would you want?" And they said, I think the exact quote was, "Jude Law." They said, "We want Jude
Mm,
Law." And initially, they tried to make Thane an assassin fish man.
a badass
And
assassin.
they made him a badass fish assassin, and women were like terrified of it. They when they looked at it, they went, "This is horrifying. Why would you ever date this? He looks like a serial killer."
Yeah,
And it was only after they asked them, "Okay, so what features do you find attractive?" They went, "Well, no, I want it to be like, soulful, mysterious. I want him to like, look like he's got a story to tell. I don't want him to like, look like a fucking murderer." And men working on mass had to be told that women don't want to like, date a murderer.
yeah,
They
and
want someone who
look,
looks
oh, here's like a fashionable, confident, stylish, like well groomed,
man,
admitted like a
alien
fishman
man.
alien, but still,
Well, they had to like, basically walk the male designers through because they were just like making him like, huge and buff and giving him like, guns and swords. Like,
mm,
that's not all we want. And like I said, they made him confident, stylish, fashionable, soulful. And who'd have thunk it? Eh? Like, and the fact that it was a surprise to the designers on that game that women like stylish, confident men says it all.
and I guess I believe for people like listening when this comes out, or watching when this comes out, spoilers for a Fat Fiend video that's
Yeah, we
not
talk
up
about it,
yet because we're so far ahead. I think that video isn't actually out on Fat Fiend yet.
but it is being edited at the moment,
It
and
is, yeah,
it's fascinating to see the glimpse into people's mind when their immediate response is like, "But no, what about all these huge buff male characters?" Like, women for the most part don't like that, and they're put into the game not for women but for you because it's a power fantasy. And when they put in the characters that women like, men generally complain. Like, look at Ryder. Oh, he's not badass.
yeah.
Oh, he's shit. Looks like a woman. It's almost like those kind of men don't know what women want, and
Hmm.
that's why they suck so hard at attracting them.
It's fine, Carl, because women don't play games, as featured in a recent Fat Fiend comment I just raged at.
Yeah.
That was one of
Where's
those
your
comments that made me just stop looking at my phone
yeah? Who's your girlfriend work for again?
at PlayStation.
There we go. Does She-Hulk count as a power fantasy for women? No. If you look at I've got a She-Hulk comic Is it behind me or is it in the other room? It'd be in the other room on my other bookshelf. The way She-Hulk is drawn is 100% a fucking fantasy for men.
Yeah.
There's a reason they always draw She-Hulk wearing a fucking bikini. And again, it's fucking
Like
embarrassing.
her default outfit was a fucking leotard, like a V-shaped leotard.
Yeah, and the fact that you're even asking that question just shows like you've got like read more books. And do you know what? Talk to more women. Like talk to women. That's what we say, isn't it, in the Thane video?
Probably, yeah.
Because I think at the end, like we say, we know that there's going to be weird men complaining in the comments or making, and that exact argument you just mentioned there,
Mm.
to those men, just talk to a woman.
Ask a woman's
Like,
opinion on it.
yeah, instead of assuming what women like the people making Thane initially did, why not ask them what they like? And you'd be surprised at what the answer is.
And the worst thing is, you can say that, but then
And
it's
they won't.
how do people frame questions when they're like, when you go and speak to a woman, is it like, well, what do you think is attractive in a man? Like, tell me what your thoughts are, or is it going to be that they go over and it's like, well, is this sexy?
Yeah,
And it's
it's
like,
not
yeah,
going to be that.
it's a very different conversation to have.
It is, and as well, if the man's response to that is, "Well, I don't know any women I can have that conversation with," that's part of the problem.
Yeah,
If there's not a woman in your life you can have that conversation with, that's part of the problem. And as well, it's
women
really
like
funny that
people.
yeah, it's really funny that those men will go ahead and make those assumptions when they themselves will readily admit that they do not have the knowledge to do so, or any woman in their life from which to base that opinion on.
Yeah, like that for me. I went to high school, 5 years of my life.
It's an
Went
all
to
girls
like
school,
an
wasn't
all
it?
boys school. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, then it was an all girls school afterwards,
It
wasn't it?
was an all girls school for like the sixth form because it became like, a mixed, very one sided. But it was allowed the a few guys could get in each year. So for 2 years, then went to an all girls school basically to try and course correct my social abilities because I spent 5 years just being surrounded by guys like teenage boys. I was like, I don't know how to interact with a woman without just dying. But tell you what, let's go and spend time surrounded by women, but not treating them as like objects or anything. Just being a normal person around. It
Are you
helped me
saying?
massively.
Yeah, are you saying that women are people?
It's a controversial statement, Carl. I'm not sure I
It
could
is
commit that
online, yeah.
far. Yeah,
Yeah, that's the funny one. It's like I always know that that argument is marching with unwarranted confidence towards conversations like that. But the fact that it happened just the moment we started mentioning it,
and please, like I was being sarcastic. I know sarcasm is hard to read. Don't clip that out. But I hope people are sensible enough that they're an hour and 45 minutes into the conversation and realize that was a joke.
well, that's the thing though, is that they won't.
That's the issue. That's what is so like horrible. Like no matter how much I think, oh, this is clearly obviously a joke. There's somebody out
It's
there going,
so
oh,
obviously
Lucas thinks
sarcasm.
that women aren't people. Then great, what a dickhead.
Hmm. Well, yeah, we can end on that because that brings us around to like the shit I was dealing with last week.
Yeah, sure.
And there is no like conclusion to that. There's no real conclusion. It's one of those things. It's going to be ongoing. And
It'll
we
just
mentioned earlier that
like yeah, as you say, ongoing and just kind of hopefully slowly, just quietly
and
fade into the background.
there'll be people who are pissed off at me who will no doubt be pissed off at me for the rest of their lives and will follow me to everything that I do. But one thing I wanted to mention, so just for clarification, just like a whole bunch of stuff went down with myself and a former Cracked writer. I no longer have a collaboration with Cracked.
Hmm.
That's no longer a thing. And one of the during that old kerfuffle, a bunch of old Cracked writers tuned in, like chimed in, I should say, to give their 2 pence on the issue.
Yeah,
And one response that fucking slayed me. It legitimately made me think I was going insane. Is a former editor for the site, giving me a rundown. So like they watched that video or the summation of it.
yeah,
Admit that they skipped through the conversation in their response, but then end by saying it just shows that there's a toxicity being fostered at Cracked that wasn't there when I wrote for the site, and that like sent some hamsters in my head because I was like, hang on a second. I've talked about this before, haven't I, Lucas? Like I've told some of the stories from like
you've
back in the
mentioned to
day.
me how toxic that like writers community was back in the day. Yeah,
Yeah, like one of the co-editors for like the site, one of like the biggest people on the site was like using his position to sexually harass women.
Oh yeah, the higher ups are all like disgraceful people as well. Yeah.
And one of the things about that is that happened while that guy was an editor. That was happening while he was editing for the site. This where he's saying like there was no toxicity being fostered while I was there, and I legitimately thought, am I remembering this wrong?
Yeah.
Because I thought in my head like, well, he was there. Like this is a dude who's like super high up on the site at the time. Am I remembering the details wrong? So I messaged someone I still talk to from my time back there, who just like has since stopped giving a fuck,
Oh
and
right. Okay.
they filmed me like no, because they stuck around later than I did on the site behind the scenes, still doing work and stuff like that. No, they're completely full of shit.
Yeah.
They know for a fact that that's not true because they were there when the person above them was using their position to sexually harass women on the site to the point where several of them quit and cited that as a reason. They also worked alongside a person who was similarly doing the same thing. So even you can't even use the excuse, well, that was my immediate superior. I didn't know. It's like their co-worker, some of the people they
Yeah.
work with every day, was also doing it, and they were openly abusive towards their partner in full view of the entire editorial. And they got so mad. I think they just went onto the responses and just listed that and went, "Oh, didn't you just like?" And just listed all the things that I just mentioned there, plus some other ones of like, "Oh, wasn't there also the most prolific writer for the site was also a shit to women, and then someone else ended up like fucking abusing children." Like such a like a non-toxic environment being fostered
Hmm.
back in the day there.
It
And I
didn't
just wanted
need
to,
to be fostered, Carl. It was already there, clearly.
yeah, like, it was there from the start. But like they got pissed off on my behalf because of that. Because I was like, "Am I remembering it wrong?
Hmm.
Or am I remembering the dates wrong? Because it's been like 10 years since I like actively wrote for the site, and they were like, no.
Yeah.
Um, so that was like the asshole blowout that I witnessed and was like very thankful for. And oddly enough, that never got a response.
It's weird, that isn't it?
Yeah, there was never. It's a weird like bookend to that entire story.
That just the moment anyone gets like shut down, they don't have any response at all.
Yeah,
Quietly back away.
yeah, or just stop talking about it. But I just thought that was like a really um, interesting bookend for all that. Where it's like, oh, it shows a toxicity that wasn't there when I wrote for the site. It's like your immediate superior was harassing women, and there was someone openly abusive towards their partner in front of you at editorial meetings that you were there for.
No toxicity.
Yeah, that's a fun one, that isn't it? Because that's the thing. Like when I had to reach out to that person, it's like, am I remembering this wrong? I
Yeah.
legit thought I was like, what the hell is going on here? Like, am I remembering this wrong? Like legitimately, I felt like I was being gaslit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do that thing of like I'm being told that I remember it wrong,
Hmm.
and they said it with such confidence,
Like, well, there
and
was no toxicity back in the day when I was at Cracked. It's like,
I was like, but I was there when it happened.
yeah.
I saw it with my own eyes. It's like the one of I'm not sure if I mentioned like when the higher up editor got outed for being a weird sex pest. I logged back into Facebook for like the first time in like 3 years or something like that to just go into the writers group that I'm presumably not a part of anymore,
Yeah,
uh,
probably not.
and posted like, "Oh, I'm going to ask them to remove my bylines from the website because I no longer wish to be associated with a website where they would, protect a sexual predator and continue to profit from his work and allow him to profit from having his name associated with the site." And I remember posting that, and some of the writers who were like getting in on the story last week responded to that post saying, "I don't want to do that because I still need to have my bylines on the site,"
Hmm. I really need to like keep my name associated with a website that would do that shit.
which has actively got a sex predator listed on the front page.
Yeah. And I think that
And then
says
like,
all that we
yeah,
need to say about those kind of people.
yeah. Then you fast forward 5 years, and like, I can't believe that the site would do this. It wasn't like this when I wrote for that. It's like, remember when I immediately said I will take this hit to my portfolio and standing online to make a statement about how wrong I think this is? And then I remember when you were asked to do the same thing. I'm like, no.
Hmm. Oh well.
Yeah, oh well. And to everyone who listened to the entire thing and then sent me a giraffe, it's appreciated. I couldn't respond to many people because I think some people, I said if people want to talk about it more, you can do that. but a lot of people just sent me a message that didn't really seem to want a response.
And I think there were quite a few, because I just looked at the comments. There was quite a few comments that were just like, "Look, we're here. Like, we've heard your side of the story. Like, thank you," and just
Yeah, that's the thing. Like,
or sending support and whatnot, which is not
there
really
are people.
a discussion. Just people wanting to send support, which is much appreciated.
Yeah, so I did see all of those, and I responded to the ones that seemed to want, like, further response or discussion about it. But
Yeah.
yeah, for the most part, I just saw them, read them, and just quietly went, "Thank you very much." But yeah, that's my bookend. That's like the complete asshole blowout. And Lucas, what are we doing later? We stream twice today, don't we?
I don't know.
Are we playing Battlefront again? Or are we
We can
playing
play
For Honor?
Battlefront again, yeah.
We're gonna play Battlefront. Do you want to go to play Star Wars and shoot some some aliens?
Some AI this time, rather than getting
Yeah,
into like matches 10 minutes later and getting our ass handed to it.
we can do that. Yeah, sure. So if anyone's listening to this live, we're gonna be playing some Battlefront 2 online in about 2 hours. If anyone listening to it after the fact, Lucas, where can they find more of your stuff?
Well, people can just find me online doing gaming things. And you can find like my Twitch here, twitch.tv/LegendOfKanto.
No
You
doubt, link
can
below. Yeah.
there's a link in the comments or
Mhm.
comments, a link in the description, and then as well, just like youtube.com/LegendOfKanto. Search for Legend of Kanto on there. You can find the
Mhm.
video version of this podcast. You can also find Carl and I playing some games on there.
Yeah, and I also have a gaming channel, just Cal Smallwood. If you Google that, I'm almost positive that you'll find my stuff, but I can't be sure now because I now have so many people who don't like me and have set up like those weird subreddits and stuff
Yeah.
that I'm not sure if Googling my name brings it up. So should
Uh,
we do that live right now? Have you got like an
I've just
incognito
done
tab
it
up?
live.
Do you want to do like an incognito tab search for my name and see what comes up so we can let people know? I'm
Oh yeah,
curious
I'd have
what's
to
up.
do on incognito, wouldn't
Yeah,
I? Oh, so like this is a plug of a plug, isn't it?
this is a plug for plugs. I don't.
Uh,
I always say just Google my name, but I'm genuinely not sure what will come up if people do that now.
uh,
I'm
well,
guessing it'd be my Twitter.
yeah, your Twitter comes up and Fat Fiend comes up, but your personal gaming channel does not come up.
Well, that's fair enough then. So
Well, just go
Google
to YouTube itself and type
and
in
just type
Carl
Cal
Smallwood.
Small. Then you'll find my channel. Yeah.
Yeah, much easier way of doing it, Carl.
But I was curious because I'm thinking, like, considering what we just mentioned, is there enough? Have I put enough stuff out there where Googling my name turns that around? Because there are. I remember. I think it's my girlfriend said that where she like was looking for some stuff about me and then found like one of those weird subreddits. And then Adam did the same thing. Bringing back Adam from the start of the podcast, like, he was looking for the podcast, or the subreddit when it still ran,
Yeah.
and then he found the weird one. And on that weird one was a picture of Nisha when she took like a selfie or something like that. No, sorry, it was a picture of him, like he took on Nisha's phone and posted it when she left it in the office. So he
Oh right.
logged on. So and that's one of those stories where it's like you couldn't make it up. Where he went on, looked for the subreddit for the channel, found the weird one for people who don't like me, and
Mm-hmm.
just obsess about me all day, and saw a picture of his own face with the caption "Is Carl sleeping with Nisha?" or something like that.
Oh
It's
my
like,
god.
no, why is this? And then he asked me like, why is that on your subreddit? I went, no, you went onto the wrong subreddit.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the bad one.
And I'll round this out by result number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not like result 6 when I do an incognito search of Carl Smallwood is Carl Smallwood is a snowflake who can't accept people have their own opinion.
Ah, my
And
favorite
that's
thing
from
is
that shitty subreddit as
that's my.
well.
Do you know what my favorite thing about that subreddit is? The one where they do nothing but complain, like, "Oh no, Carl refuses to listen to anyone else's opinion." If you go in there and just say anything like, "I think you're being a bit excessive here. Why don't you just shut the fuck up or get a life?" They'll ban you.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen those people of like, look, I think you're taking things a bit out of context here. Like Carl isn't an asshole, and you just get like the same 5 people come back like, no, he's a fucking dickhead, and I know he is. Bye.
What happened with the post I made last week? Like, the basically the entirety of the podcast.
Yeah.
There was a dude, and this is one of my favorite comments that we ever get on anything. I could talk about this now to end on. Is when someone will leave a comment on a video
Hmm.
saying something to the effect of, "I unsubscribe from this channel and I'm still getting recommended these videos.
Oh yeah.
Why?" And That to me is just so amazing because they're asking out loud, why am I getting recommended videos on this channel after I've unsubscribed when they instinctually click on everyone that appears in their feed
And
and
then
then go leave a
interact with
comment?
it because they go and comment, why do I
The
keep getting
number
these?
one, which is what the algorithm sees, is you liking the content is why it gets fucking
You click on
suggested.
it every time and you comment on it every time. No wonder it's fucking suggesting it to you.
Like, every single time they see one of the videos, they click on it and complain, and thereby interact with it and suggest to the algorithm that, oh, if we show it to them, they'll click on it, which is like, all the algorithm cares about.
Yeah.
And then they're wondering out loud, why am I still being suggested
Even though
this?
there's just a block channel button.
Because every time you see one, you click it.
Yeah.
And that's like my favorite thing to happen online. And cheers to everyone who listens. Like, and I'm real fucking sorry about like the dog tangent. But I hope that whilst listening to it, there was at very least like some value there for people about just maybe like some perspective or just seeing themselves. Like, so if you think you've had a rough time this year, or you think like you've not handled COVID well, or you've been struggling, at least you didn't adopt and then murder a dog.
That's true.
Like, that's the thing. Like, that's the lowest possible bar to clear, and I didn't think that's something I'd have to say out loud, but here we are. And if everyone's still watching online, we'll be back in 2 hours. Like, cheers to everyone for tuning in. Also, yeah, oh god, yeah, there's a Discord. If you press exclamation point Discord, there's a Discord. I'm in there. I post in it occasionally, and I'll let people know when we're going live.
Yeah,
Cheers.
and same on my end. Like, you can do the same in my chat. But yeah, thank you everyone for sticking with us through that roller coaster.
That was like a roller coaster of a roller coaster.
Yeah.
And it went
Be
on a
back
bit
soon.
longer than I